you're able to be, oh man, you know it's not easy, first of all.
To forgive?
Yeah, it's not. When somebody wrongs you, they do something that the world would deem unforgivable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But really, as Jesus teaches you what it does for you, not to say, oh, forget me, but when you really learn like what the forgiveness is doing for you, doesn't allow the devil to come and stir up hate, which is one of the big things that he does. To try and come and stir up hate into us.
Yep. Oh man. At any at any and every opportunity that he gets to work on us, and it's like the things that he started doing when we were young and didn't even realize that he was there and that he's doing anything to us. Those things, those things, it was like the seed that you hear them talking about that they plant, right? It's like those things will start to grow and grow and grow and manifest into something bigger, something that you didn't even realize was like there, and it unleashes, and then it's like you're holding on to things. You like what like for example, when I hear about like mommy's story with daddy and how he's talking about um how she's talking about how she after all this time, when we first heard her say that, like it was hard for her to forgive him. Like that one always got me, and it was weird because I used to just take it in like, how is mommy still mad? Like when I was in the world, I was like, how is mommy still mad? This is how I used to look at it. First of all, because daddy is daddy, I loved him to death, and like I never understood how you can be mad at this guy. Like I never saw him act in a way that would ever make anyone be mad at him, especially with the things you hear people say, right? So I'm like thinking to myself, when mommy would say it started to sound like nothing to me, and then when we were starting to go to church more and we started to understand what was actually happening and we discerned what was actually taking place, I was like, yo, mommy hasn't forgiven daddy. After all these years, it's actually she's actually been holding on to the anger and the resentment and the confusion for why he couldn't just listen to her. Not even like I thought, like because you assume that your parents know to a certain degree like the things about the scriptures and whatnot. But I was like, okay, mommy must know that it was God's will for this to happen. She must know that it was God's will. And you remember when we had that talk with her, and I was like, mommy, you do realize that if God didn't want daddy to die, he wouldn't have died. It's that simple. He would be here, we would be wherever God wanted us to be, and that would be that. We always can say that you know what God's will is after a time, because it wouldn't have happened like in a to a certain degree if it wasn't God's will. So I'm like, I was thinking, I'll never forget when I was listening to mommy talk, and she's like, yeah, um, had you just listened to me, like had you just heard what we were saying, heard what I was saying, my dad warned me, da 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 da, but daddy wouldn't listen, and now like it's just me and you guys, and I'm just like, I'm like, yo, and believers. So then you look at it like with believers because we're human, we're people, and then you compare it to people who are in the world, and you're like, how can you even approach them on the whole concept of true forgiveness, and not like, yeah, I forgive you, because you don't want no more beef, but truly understanding that we're people and we make mistakes, and it's far past, it's far more damaging to us to hold on to anything they might have done to us than to just understand and be at peace with the fact that what's ever happened is in the past, you know, and then just looking forward. I don't know. I just
And it's just so funny to me that God saw that that anger or unforgiveness was inside of her, so he had us waiting. We had whatever he had inside of us, the message that he had inside of us, to speak to her. Finally, after all these years, you know, and it's really accepting that when God's time to pull the plug, it's up, especially when you've been following and living by His perfect will for you. You realize that, hey, you realize that hey, like, really, what can you say? What can you say to
It's coming to the point there where people can be at peace with the fact that I need it just like you have to get to a place where it's like I trust God's will more than my own. You grew up your whole life building to trust yourself or trust others, depending on what people have done to you. You lose trust from people, whatever it may be. But when you get to that place, like where you're like, I trust God's will for my life and for the lives of those that I know more than my will for their lives and for my own life. That's the only time when you can get to that place. I feel like when you get to that place, it's like, okay, I'm ready to really know you now, God. You know what I mean? Because until you can come to the place where you are in complete submission to His will, it's a constant battle. It's a fight. And it will be a fight till the day you die. Because it's like the whole thing about the two masters. Like, you can't serve two masters. Okay, first of all, consider yourself as a master and consider God as the master. If God is your master and you're saying, God's my master, God, do this for me, do that for me, I want to live by your will, I want to do this, but inside, it's like you still have yourself that you're trying to serve. You're still trying to look for you or um do what's best in your eyes. You're never gonna get to that place where you can know God and forget about like what's gonna happen in your life. I'll leave that for God. But I'm talking about where you can get to that place where you know Him, where you feel Him, where you're like He's here. Like it's like yo, you can't describe what He means to you. That's how amazing it is. Just the fact that He's in your life, type of relationship. You know what I mean? And I'm like yo,
and okay, one thing that talking on forgiveness, one thing that like kind of just popped in my mind
mm-hmm,
was kind of like that we as Christians
mm-hmm,
really have to get into the habit of just being as having forgiveness as something that we just always do.
second nature type thing.
Yeah, that we can't afford to not we can't afford for, oh, when our brother or sisters wrong us, that we hold grudges. We
Yeah.
can't afford, because like I've said, we are sons and daughters of the Most High God. Do we want Satan to be using us?
Exactly.
He's the one. We're the ones that he just loves to mess with, because he knows what's inside of us, and he knows that we know what's inside of us.
That's
You
right.
know, it's
He's
funny.
been there.
It's funny because when you see it's a prime example of one of my friends, who you can see how it's just eating away at her, the way she can't forgive somebody.
Who?
You know,
Not the person, but like what is it? I'm sorry, that's eating away at her.
that she just can't find it in her heart to forgive somebody. Somebody did something to her that she considers it's just something like, no,
Unforgivable
it's
type thing. Oh, okay,
unforgivable. One of those things on the list of what the world would consider unforgivable, or just anybody would
okay.
consider unforgivable.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see it's doing more hurt to
Damage
her
to her. Yeah.
than it is to her just, oh, I'm not talking to that person, or I'm not forgiving this person.
Yeah.
That in every conversation somehow
Drawing
leads
back
to
to it.
this this
Individual.
anger,
Yeah.
or whatever that she has, because she can't forgive. And God has taught us how important it is to forgive,
Yeah.
because when just going back to mom, when she couldn't forgive daddy, he's gone,
Holy.
he's long gone.
Holy.
But who's hurt right now? You are you are so when it really comes down to it, it's like, when God tells us to forgive, it's forgiving for your own good. That's how much he loves us. He loves us so much that he's like, that even the things that you just think are so ridiculous, or just like, God, really, why should I forgive this person, even if they did this or did that, you know
Mm-hmm.
it's really he loves us so much. He's trying to really show us because he knows the circle and he knows how everything goes around.
That's right.
You're gonna get mad about one thing and you're not gonna forgive this person, but trust me, it's gonna come right back to bite you. And really and truly, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It is not worth holding all these grudges. If you said to yourself every time when somebody did something wrong to you that you were gonna go and go to the right measures of what has to be done to make sure that you can forgive that person. Whether it be just like Jesus said, when your brother wrongs you, go to them, talk to them, and it says, and let them see and tell them what it is that's bothering you.
Yeah.
And if your brother, agrees with you or gives you the confirmation that you need in a sense that you've won back your brother, that you guys can go back to seeing that things are okay. Don't just don't yeah, don't just don't just sit there and talk about them.
Right.
Don't just sit there and be all mad every time their name gets brought up. Don't you bring that person's name around here. Don't
Or even
go
not just their name, even just a situation that
that's
is similar to what has happened to you. Now all that anger or whatever that you were feeling towards them, you're thinking about the person and you weren't even talking about them.
Yes. Take up what you have to do. Do your part by, having the courage if that person, even if it's a touchy subject, do what you have to do so that you will not sin against the Lord, so that you will not further condemn yourself.
That's right.
Because the knowledge is all there in the Bible. God
Yep.
he can tell you what to do. There's guide steps for what to do when your brother or sister wrongs you. And really and truly, I just think that it's important that we as believers have to lead by example, especially when we're in leadership roles. Because I'm like, then what is that saying?
Yeah.
What is that saying? I know we're all human and we all fall short.
Yeah.
We all fall short. But what I'm trying to say is, what is it saying that when even leaders can't do it? Yeah, they're all human. But then what does that call? It calls that for us all to do our part. Do what we can do. We it's nobody knows that it's okay that when somebody does something wrong to you and they make you mad, that it's okay to be mad and just
We
hold
have
a grudge.
emotions.
Yeah, no. But like what I'm trying to say is like nobody on that's Christian knows is ignorant of the fact that when somebody does you wrong,
Mhm.
that that it's okay to be upset.
Right. That's what I mean. To have emotions.
Yeah, but sorry, maybe I'm not saying it right. I'm trying to say that we're not ignorant of the fact that um that being what's this word I'm looking for? No, I'm saying we're not ignorant of the fact that yeah, sorry. I don't even know why it took me so long to get. We're not ignorant of the fact that you know we're supposed to be forgiving. We're
Right,
not
right,
ignorant
right.
of the fact because it's not even like we can be like
I know we're supposed to forgive.
yeah. I didn't know we were supposed to be forgiving. They've taught us that in the secular world, and then
In the
yet alone,
secular world.
yet alone the Bible. Nobody's ignorant of the fact that we're supposed to be forgiving. you know. But
I'm sorry. Remember the TV show Forgive and Forget?
yeah, that's the call of being leaders. God tells us to. God calls people to be leaders for a reason, especially because you're ready to go beyond just being a regular person,
And that's the thing, though.
being
It's
beyond just the